Hello, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Tessa and I'm a resource room teacher in Michigan. This will be my 11th year teaching, and something that I have noticed all throughout my teaching career is that there are a lot of things that apply to grade level teachers but not special education teachers, and that's just how it works. And what happens is you just learn to adapt, essentially, and you create your own resources when needed, and you look for support when available. So I decided this year to try an IEP planner, and I didn't even know those existed until I came across them on Amazon. And so I bought one, and I'm just going to review it. I'm just going to go through it. I kind of went through it a little bit when it came in the mail, but I haven't took time and really looked at each page and each section in detail. So I'm going to just go through it, and if this is something that's super helpful for you, then I would love for you to like or comment. And if learning about what a special education teacher does, and if you're interested in getting support and watching more videos from me, go ahead and subscribe too. I appreciate that as well, so I can reach more people, because I have found that there really aren't a lot of special education teachers on YouTube. So that's why I started this channel last year. So anyway, let's get to the review. Special Educators All-in-One IEP and Lesson Planner 23 to 24. And this planner is from the Intentional IEP. And the person behind the Intentional IEP, her name is Stephanie, and she has experience as a special educator, and she has videos on YouTube, and that's why I chose this, because I knew it came from somebody who has experience as someone who would need something like this. Inside, from the Intentional IEP, this planner belongs to. It does have a digital component to it, and there's a QR code to get a digital copy of this book, which I was hoping there would be. So here's the table of contents. Before I even opened it, the first thing I noticed was it is very thick. There's a lot in this book. So I'm excited to see everything that's in there. So classroom information, teacher info, name, room number, school email. So school information, just a brief daily schedule breakdown, specific duties of where and when. I actually kind of like this. It's just a little list of where to find things. So this would be good for like a substitute teacher. Classroom paras, classroom information. So it's got birthdays, allergies, list of parent, volunteers, notes. And I mentioned this would be good for paras, but I mean, it's good for regular teachers too, because I forget where some things are. So that's a good idea, to just have a little list of things that maybe in the past I forget where they are. Classroom procedures for different parts of the day. Student login information. I actually really like this because students, they all have Chromebook carts in each of their classrooms. They're used to using Chromebooks. So they should know how to sign into Chromebooks and how to use that technology. But sometimes, like, newer students can't remember their numbers. And so it is helpful to have this page here, and I can just kind of fill that in at the beginning of the year. So if a student needs that information, I can include it, as well as login information for any other like websites or apps that we may use in my room. So Parapro schedule, name, contact info, contract time, information for that. So I create schedules for all the special ed parapros, and I've got like very detailed schedules. I make tables. And so I wouldn't need this page for that because it's so involved. Their schedules are so involved. It wouldn't fit in here cleanly. But it is a nice little snapshot of that. So student services schedules. So you got student service, frequency, days, and times. Again, I make my own schedule, and it's in table form, and it's like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and it goes through the day, and it's color coded. And it's very detailed, and so I wouldn't need this page for that, but it is another spot to put that information in if I wanted to. School personnel contact information, IEP team specialist contact info, caseload snapshot, student name, grade, homeroom, disability, IEP due date, testing due date services. So this is nice to have because I have created my own document that has this information. So I'm thinking that this book is going to be super helpful for new special education teachers, because I have a feeling there's a lot of things in here that I ended up having to create myself. So this is a really nice document to have. And then another page of caseload snapshot. So you have lots of room for many students. So student profile, name, date of birth, grade, address, phone numbers, ability level, grade equivalency, related services, special considerations, educational placement for those different subject areas, medical information, and then an IEP snapshot. So yeah, if they have seizures, if they need special transportation, glasses, medication to allergies. I have created documents for myself to have a lot of this information, and then I create IEP snapshots for my for the gen ed teachers who work with my students. But this is really helpful if you don't have those documents yourself. And then there's more student profiles. So if we go through, so I counted 14 sets of these 2 pages. For 14 students, you've got student profile and IEP snapshot. Long range planning, just for each month of the year. Long range planning, broken down by weeks, up to 40 weeks. First quarter curriculum map, and it goes from week 1 to week 9. Same thing for second quarter, third and fourth. Quick glance 23-24 calendar, quick glance 24-25. I actually really love that there's just little sections for notes on a lot of these pages, because I'm always trying to be efficient with space on pages, like on my IEP documents and my students' IEP binders. I just like to have space for notes instead of just writing things in throughout the document. So it's just something little that I just like that she just included the word notes down there. IEP tracking calendar. This is really helpful. Again, something I end up creating myself. So it's got this, list, and earlier in the book where you can put their IEP due dates, but this is a nice little snapshot to follow those dates. Quarterly tracking calendar for the 4 quarters. IEP writing timeline. This is a really nice reminder. I did look at this the other day when I got it. So starting with 45 days, find common meeting times with IEP team members. 1 to 3 days before pre-IEP meeting. 1 day before, print all documents. 0 days, hold IEP meeting. And the next steps. I really like this. Caseload IEP writing timelines. So it's got student name, meeting date, 1 day, 1 to 3 days, 5 to 7 days, 1 to 7 days, 3 to 14 days. So it's just following this over here. And then we got the actual calendar. So August, we've got priorities. We got must do, maybe do, do later. IEPs due this month, IEPs due next month. Don't forget upcoming events and notes. And it's got a small calendar for the next month. And then it's got a quote. So this one is, if you show students warmth, respect, and interest, they will run through walls for you. Ian Taylor. So that's for August. So it doesn't have the numbers, so you could number the dates yourself. Related services checklist for August. So it's got student name, service, total minutes this month. And then over here, received, all minutes, needs minutes. Month at a glance. So all the possible weeks in the month, priorities, deadlines. So something is due on, and then remember. Week of, more space for planning, top priorities, paraschedule, notes. Week of, so there are pages for each week of the month for that, and then we go to September. And then it starts again. I do like the must-dos, maybe-dos, and do-laters because I have that. I created my own to-do list on Google Docs, and I do the same thing. And I actually really like this quote. You don't need a cape to be a hero. You just need to care. Kid president. He knows. So then we go through until... Here we go. IEP meeting checklist. So, before the meeting, during the meeting, after the meeting, with the checklist of everything to do. Again, that's something that I have made myself. I actually just made it within the past few years. Since I changed districts, I wanted to have a reminder to myself the things that I need to do and the things other people do. And so that's really nice to have. IEP meeting notes. This is really helpful. I was thinking it would be really helpful to make separate copies of these. And I can put this in my students' IEP binders. So name, teacher, date of meeting, in attendance, meeting notes, next steps, what, who does it, by when. I love it. And up here it tells you to circle. So is it initial IEP eligibility? Is it annual review, reavail, amendment, or tri-annual review? Starts over again. The checklist, the meeting notes. I counted 16 IEP meeting checklists and IEP meeting notes. So you would have that information for 16 students or 16 meetings because sometimes you have to have multiple IEP meetings for one student. Collaboration log, the date, person of contact for student, notes. So gen ed, SLP, OT, PT, specials, counselor, psych, tutor, social worker, other. I love this because I need to bill for Medicaid every month and I need to get better about tracking that and not having to go back at the end of the month and going through emails and looking at meetings in the calendar and things like that to figure out when the contact happened and what we talked about. So I like having this. This is something that I could use. I do not have something else like this that I've created for myself. So there are 2 pages of that. 4, 6. So 6 pages of that. I love that. Bell curve poster. Bell curve conversion chart. A standard score to a subtest score to what that would mean as a percentile rank. Assessment timeline chart. So we've got assessment name, type, grade levels, start date, end date, and notes. So keep track of district/state assessment and benchmark timelines specific to your caseload. Our reading interventionist is our MSEP coordinator for our building. So she has a schedule, but we figure out where the students are going to be testing, like what room and what groups of students. So like these 2 5th graders will test with me and those 2 5th graders will test with them or something like that. So this could be helpful, but we do have something like that we just create as a team. And this is student assessment scores. So I do really like this because it's got the student name and assessment date taken, score, and notes. It's nice to have one document to keep track of all those things, because sometimes when you're taking district tests, you can easily access their previous scores and sometimes you can't. So it's nice to just have that out, and you can just look back and check and be like, oh my gosh, you increased your score by 50 points since the fall, or whatever might happen. So that's kind of nice to have one spot for all of those scores. Third-party billing. So this has got each month in the year and the student name. When third-party billing is completed each month, place a check mark or date in the month's column. So I could use those other pages where I would track, I talked to the speech path about this student at this date, and then I could actually track on here like, yes, I billed for that student in August, in September. So there are 2 pages of that. And then there's accommodation tracker. So the student name and the accommodations and modifications would go up here. So more pages for trackers. All right, IEP goal tracker. So we have a student. So one whole box is one student. A list of their goals. I love how there's lots of space for different goals, because I have some students with 1 goal, but most of my students have 2 or 3, and some have many more. And then dates. So I counted 34 pages of IEP goal trackers, and there are 2 students per page. So that is a lot of room for goal tracking. And I love how there are many here, because you might have a student who has their IEP in December. So they have goals in the fall, and then they have new goals created on their new IEP, and you need to have a new tracker for that. So that's really helpful to just have all those copies together. The next part is parent contact log. So we've got time, date, AM or PM, method of contact, comments and concerns, next steps. What do I need to do now? Perfect. Gets right to the point. Lots of space. So there are 8 spots per page. So there are 10 pages of parent contact logs, and there are 8 individual spaces for logs on each page. So that's 80 spots, which is really nice to have. And again, you can always make copies to make more. It's just nice that they're all in this book. Professional development log. Name of training, date completed, number of minutes, comments, notes. So there are 2 pages of the professional development log, and then pages for notes. There we go. And that is the back. So that is the Intentional IEP's Special Educators Planner for the 23-24 school year. And it is very comprehensive. For the, I want to say $15 that I paid for it, this is super helpful. I wish I had this 10 years ago when I first started, because I can see this being very helpful for first year special educators, or even second or third year, or I mean even me. Like, there are things in here that are helpful and I'm going to use. I don't know if I'm going to use the entire thing on a regular basis. Maybe. I don't know. I have to think about it more, because there are some parts to it I will definitely use. I will definitely make copies. I really like that the calendar and all the other information. It was all in one place. I have IEP binders for my students, and in each of those IEP binders are copies of the IEPs, any other documents that have to do with like evaluation, any other tests that they have taken. And I have another binder that I just call my caseload binder, and that has all of their IEP snapshots, essentially, that I give to teachers. And then it has all their progress monitoring data and all their goals listed, and recent work that they did, like the actual data. So that binder is pretty thick every year, and it gets thicker throughout the year because I add more to it. But that's really, and it's got my schedule in it and my para schedules in it, and like district calendar. Like that's pretty much like, that's this for me. Like that is everything in that big binder. But this is super nice. Like I said, it's super thick. It is heavy. It is hefty. I wish I had it years ago. And I would say it is worth the money. My humble opinion. I have made a video describing and going through and showing you my to-do list that I have created for myself for before and after IEPs. So that might be helpful for you too if you're looking for something like that. But she's got a list of that in here too. So thanks so much for watching. I hope it was helpful, and I hope to see you in another video.